Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, great agents across the country. Today is May 19th, 2016, and this is Mastermind call number 75. We have 2 people in the queue already, which we love. Anybody else that wants to participate in this call, feel free to hit *6 and then hit 1, and you'll get put in the queue, and you'll be next up after the 2 people that are in there. I think we have a good attendance today. We went to the NAR convention last week, so we may have a lot of people that we met there on this call. And we invited, I think, all of our existing clients, pretty much everybody we talked to. So I just want to tell you guys again, wow, we got 5 people in the queue, so I'll stop talking. I was going to say no question is off bounds, or out of bounds. So anything you want to talk about, that's what we're here for. Real quick, Tim, anything you want to share with the group before we get started?
No, but I'm good. I'm all good. We're having a busy day today. We've got a lot of stuff going on. Our partner Chad's on, I guess, right?
Chad's here, yes, sir.
Yeah. Chad's been working hard playing Cecil B. DeMille or Steven Spielberg and creating new learning tools for all of us, and we're excited about that, and we're just moving along. You got 5 people in the queue. Let's get to them.
Absolutely. Chad, before we get started, anything you want to add from the training front or anything you want to share with the group?
I will have a lot probably this time next week. We are improving basically everything we've ever done from a training standpoint as part of the new system improvements that we're doing. So I've been fortunate enough to hear you guys out for over a year and a half now and really learned where the weak spots are and where we can do a better job, and we're building that in. So one other thing I will mention for the folks that are on the call that might not be subscribers yet, we are doing a series of teaching webinars. So we're running 3 in the next 3 weeks. So watch our Facebook page. We have one following this call for a Facebook group. We have one next week that we're hosting just for the folks that we met at NAR mid-year. And then we have one that's kind of open forum on June 1st. So if you aren't quite ready to jump into probate, you don't quite understand it, it's called Probate Crash Course, and those webinars are really designed to help people really just understand the opportunity and why probate makes sense from a real estate professional's perspective and what you can do with it. So if thanks for coming to these calls, but if you are just hearing about probate, this is kind of your first introduction, try to jump on one of those webinars. We give a ton of value, and it's definitely not a sell-a-thon. It's just a training webinar. So
excellent. Tom, our customer service guy, anything you want to add, or are we good to go?
No, I'm good to go. Thanks.
I can't go a call without mentioning, guys, anytime you need help with any aspect of our service, you'll probably end up talking to Tom, but send an email to support@alltheleads.com. It's right there on the top of our website. We all read it. We all take it very seriously. Someone will usually get back to you within minutes. So let's get the show on the road. We have somebody very patient who's been waiting with Realty Executives. Your phone number ends in 9300. You're first up. Can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, I can. This is Zanette Kirshner in Flagstaff, Arizona. I just received my second set of leads, and I am using Mailbox Monitor, and I wanted to know, do I need to send the letters in order for them to process the next set of letters?
So the answer to that is, did you do them for the first set already?
Yes.
Okay, and when you did that, did you ask for it to be on automation or not?
I am not sure.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. I just wrote your name down, and we'll take a look. If you want them to go, and you want it to be automated, and if we need any, is that correct? And we'll fix it if it isn't, and if not, we'll call you. How about that?
That sounds great. One other quick question is, on the website, where is the ringless voicemail at?
We currently are not pointing you directly to that. There are a couple of people that provide that. In other words, as a service level, that they do provide that. There's a company called VoiceLogic, another one called SlyDial, and they're just, I don't know if we've taken that down off of the site. We were doing it for you, and we've figured out that that's probably, you guys need to set it up yourselves for that from the standpoint of the fact that they're your folks that you're calling, they're not ours, so you need to be doing that. But the fellow that we've been working with is a guy named Steve Lindo, Lindo, and he is with Voice Logic. And Chad, do you have their phone number handy? Do you know that number off the top of your head?
No, but I can get it really quick.
Anyway, if you call that number and ask for Steve, Steve will be glad to work with you. He'll get you set up and all squared away, and he's very familiar with our program, and he takes care of all that. But that's his company, and he does that.
I'm just going to say the nice thing about Steve, you just make one phone call, get it set up, kind of like we do with the Mailbox Motivator, and he'll do it for you from that point on. You got to go ahead.
The other nice thing that you do have one-on-one customer service with them. They do cut our customers a break. I think it's instead of 15 cents, 12 cents, and then they give you 200 minutes of credit when you sign up. So you can call Steve. It's a Canadian company, so call the 800 number is 800-973-1870, extension 223. Again, that was 800-973-1870, extension 223. And that will get you directly to Steve.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. We've got 4 more people in the queue. I love it. You guys are not making me beg for questions today. The next one, I love your phone number. There's a lot of 5s in your phone number. You're up next.
Good afternoon, probators.
I like it.
Yeah, so I am a telephone prospector. I love to get on the phones. I make things happen via the phones. So I ran into a small issue with there's a lot of phone numbers that are, and every dial takes time, right? So we want to get our dials down to the minimum until we reach somebody. And what we found is there's a lot of phone numbers that go to a lot of different places other than the PR or, somebody of significant value in the process. So I did a research on what actual files actually have real estate in them, and I found a very low percentage that has real estate attached to the file. Now, what is the plan for that? Is that going to get better, or how are we going to look forward to?
I think you have several
U.S.
questions
government
there.
promotes home ownership. I mean,
now,
we obviously can't affect the number of people owning real estate. One of the things that we are doing, and then we want to make sure that we do this the right way and have valid information, is we are looking at how we can provide, we're exploring the options of how we're going to provide real estate information, mortgage information, AVMs, a lot of information that will help you from a listing standpoint. One thing I will say that, statistically, I don't know, Jim, we've found between our 2 markets, Jim and I have tracked this, and we found anywhere from 60 to 80% of the leads in our markets will own real estate at the time of death. That means that, there's 20 to 40% that did not. There's still ways that you can bring value to those people and kind of build yourself as a transition expert, whether that's helping them buy a home, invest in rental property, reinvest the money into college funds using your favorite financial advisor just as a professional referral. So it's the same approach. You approach them as kind of a transition specialist and offer multiple options. Some of those you get paid on, some you don't, but it all comes back to you. So if you're on the phones that much, taking an extra level and ask a question. Oh, okay, so you didn't own any real estate, but what, by the way, what are your plans once everything's settled out? Have you thought about avoiding probate for future generations? Have you thought about reinvesting and preserving that money? Can we set you up with one of our referral partners to have a 5-minute conversation about what that looks like? And you never know what the next referral from that person might be if you impress them. So
We talked about that a couple weeks ago. You think about it, you're calling someone, and I would suspect that you may just be assuming because you're not seeing the county records that they don't own real estate. They may own something in an adjoining county. It may be, in a corporate name. But think about when you're calling them, the average inheritance in the country is somewhere around $175,000. So even if there wasn't real estate, that person just inherited $175,000. What do you think most people would do if they inherited that kind of money? There's a good chance they're going to upgrade their home. So even though they may not have one that's part of the estate, you might be talking to somebody just by asking that extra question. Okay, great. I'm just curious, like Chad said, once it's settled, do you have any plans on upgrading? You may end up getting a listing at a sale out of it. You may be able to sell them some rental opportunities. So don't automatically assume that there isn't an opportunity there.
Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, Tim, you might want to answer the phone number question.
Yeah, that's just where I was going. The other thing that you need to be aware of is that the phone numbers that we give you, if I were doing it and I were doing the dialing for dollars like you're doing, I would call column A, the first PR1 call. I'd make all those calls before I ever called number 2, and I'd only make calls to the other phone numbers that are in that list if I didn't reach them on the first one. In theory, that is supposed to be the best number that we give you.
Right. Okay. So let me. I guess it's fair to discuss how I came to that conclusion. So I took that list and I went down to the courthouse and I scrubbed every single number, every single record for which ones have real estate attached to it, because if you go to the courthouse, then you can find that out. It's in the file. You have to read the letters and stuff like that. But so you can find out that there's actually real estate attached to it. I'm in Naples, Florida, where most of these properties are second and third homes, and sometimes you hit the jackpot and there's like 5 properties in there. Okay, so it's not a bad thing, and having having the key to it, the detailed key to be able to look them up quickly is awesome. But what I would do is I would go down and I thought I want to do this with one complete set of records. So I did this with January, so this past week. And so I spent 5 days at the courthouse, and I scrubbed every one of them. And that's what I found was about 4 out of 10 were valuable, really good sources. Now, when that came down to it, per page, I would have 72 phone numbers on that page, and it came down to 19 of those phone numbers were actually good. So I didn't make any assumptions. I did a very good and very thorough analysis of exactly what we had on hand. And I do ask a lot of questions. Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. All I was saying is that you kind of started off in the beginning by talking about the fact that you're making a lot of phone calls, and I would urge you to cut your phone calling down dramatically by calling only the first one in the list that we gave you, unless you need to dig down further. And instead of calling 5 for each one, you're only going to be calling 1 unless you don't reach what you're looking for on that first one. Has no bearing on whether there's real estate in it or not, but we try to give them to you in the order that we give them to you to help it work out that way.
Okay, so they're in order of relevance. Okay, I get it. So maybe that would make it quicker to go through them if I do all the 1s first, 2s second, and go through that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just look at and we're going to make it easier on you in our new system because we're organizing the presentation a little bit differently, and you can actually work them in the back end that we're going to be giving you. You can start working them back there, and so we're kind of working around that premise. But that first column should be the best phone number.
Very well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And what I was going to add, by the time you get to the 4th or 5th phone number, it might just be a relative or somebody who lives at the same address. And we kind of struggled with that. We want to give you guys as much information as we can and let you decide how you want to use it. So
okay,
go ahead.
Well, with that, and what I found, when I went to the courthouse and I found out if I could strike a whole record, that would be 4 or 5 phone numbers that is pulled out of my call. So I'm only calling ones that have real estate in them. And usually, if they have real estate in them, they're happy to hear from me. They're getting me off their back because they've already made plans for it, or they're happy that because I have 14 cousins in the area, so we all do something about real estate, and so we can get it cleaned up, cleaned out, and locked up and locked down. It doesn't matter what you're looking for; we've got the plan for it. With that being said, I guess I'm just struggling with the percentage of actual records that have real estate in my market. It could be market specific just for what we're doing.
It is market specific. In my market, it was 90%. I mean, the lowest we've ever heard, I think, was in New York City, and it's about 60%. So it varies greatly by market, and and I would just caution you that you may just be assuming because you're not seeing them in the county records there. Some of those people might own real estate in an adjoining county. You know, you might be scrubbing out some opportunities that, most of you're high analytical, and that's not a bad thing, but for the most part, we usually say just mail and call and find out once you speak to them whether they have real estate or not. Sometimes that's the easiest way to do it, but I understand your approach, and
actually, I'm not a high analytical. I'm a high D. It was driving me absolutely up a wall. But a D under pressure will become analytical to get things done, right? So, and that's where I went with it. And I only do it once. I just wanted to do it one time to figure out what's the next step. How can I make this better? Because this is driving me nuts calling people that have nothing to do with anything. So that's how I got it.
Summary of your conversation is the good news is you're taking action, which is more than a lot of people do. Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, I mean, good for you, man, for jumping on the phone. The one thing I would say is you're only doing this once. Don't let it completely. Don't set it in stone once you do this, because there are so many variables in this niche, like how many people die in a month, how much real estate they own, whether they're aired or not. There's so many variables. Like, I see people get caught in kind of the trap of trying to make this so black and white when at the end of the day, you sound like you're an incredible prospector. So you got to look at, am I more interested in making money or filtering out leads? And filtering them out is going to take you the same amount of time as calling. So if you can come up with an offer and say, you know what, I don't care if they don't own real estate, I'm calling because I've got something to offer them. And maybe that's a 30-second phone call. Thanks so much. Would you like my financial advisor to call you? Thanks so much. Sorry I couldn't help you. Whatever it is. But I see you potentially discouraging yourself by trying to compartmentalize this. And you sound like somebody who can just thrive on the phone, jump on the phone and just talk to people. Like, as a high D, jump on the phone, ask good questions, and find out. Maybe there was no real estate. You talk to a widowed woman who lives in an apartment. She needs to move because it's a 2-bedroom and she only needs one. And you can introduce her to a moving company. Look, you can be done with that in less than a minute, feel good about yourself, and who knows who she might refer you to that's moving down, one of her snowbird friends from New York. So just look at each of these as, there's opportunity in there. You never know where it's coming from. And just don't try to get too granular. Just move through the calls, and you got a good idea. Call column 1, call column 2, and just help us.
Thank you, guys. I don't mean to cut you off. I want to get to everybody in the queue, and if we didn't answer the question thoroughly enough, send an email to support@alltheleads, and one of us will get back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Phone number ending in 2000. You're up.
Good number.
Yeah, the last one was all 5s. I love your guys' phone numbers today. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Bob Faust, and that was my office phone number. That's why it's so nice.
Hey, Bob.
Bob Faust in Fullerton, California.
Yes, sir.
I just a point of information. I want to let some of the other participants understand what I just ran across. I do bulk emailings to people's the attorneys, and yesterday, I sent out a mass emailing to the attorneys, and I got 27 or so bounce backs. And I'm going, what is wrong? It finally hit me. AOL was down. So if you're doing automatic emailings, you sometimes will run into the fact that the providers, aren't working. And so everything that went out to AOL yesterday bounced back, and I have to do them all again. So just a heads up to everybody.
Thank you, Bob. And Bob, I know you've had. We always tell the agents, call the executor first, get the property listed, but then by all means reach out to the attorney too. The agent, the executor will give you one deal. The attorney can give you a career worth of referrals. And Bob, you've really taken that on, and you've done very well working the attorneys, correct?
Yes, and I'm going to continue working those attorneys. I think of it the same way you do. I can buy the fruit, or I can buy the tree. I'll take the tree.
I think I've heard an analogy about the milk and the cow, but they're very similar analogy, exactly.
All right. Donald Trump now? That's good, Jim. Keep going.
Well, I wasn't too specific. And thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Any questions or anything specific we can help you with? Thanks for the input.
No, I'm doing fine, and it's a process, and it's going to take months and months to get this honed in right.
All right, excellent. All right, well, we have good timing today. We have one more person, and we actually do have time for one or two more. The phone number ending in 8318. You're up.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, this is Sandy Cantor in Tucson, and
hi, Sandy.
my question is similar to one that I believe has already been raised, which is that I got my first batch of leads. I started going through them to qualify which estates actually owned real estate, and out of maybe 80 or so that I've gotten through checking, I have found at the most a half a dozen. And
now, what county are you in?
Pima.
Arizona, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
okay.
what I'm hearing you say is that even if no real estate is shown to be in the estate according to county records, that it's still worthwhile to contact the personal representative because it may be in another name or corporate name, trust
might
name.
Might be in an adjoining county, and I have to tell you guys, the last two of you, this is really rare. I would question whether it's accurate, but so like Chad said, it might just be a 1 month aberration. But as I repeated to the last guy, think about it. Even if they don't own real estate, you're calling somebody that just inherited a couple $100,000. They may want to buy something else. They may want to list their house and upgrade. I think most people, if they inherited a couple $1,000, are probably going to want a nicer home. So don't assume that you can't help them just because it doesn't appear that there's any real estate in there. And that's we'll look into it, but that doesn't make sense to me that few own real estate. I've never heard a percentage that low. So there's something going on there.
Yeah, let me ask a question, Andy. Is Pima? I know where it is, but is that an area that you would say is an area that has a lot of retired folks?
Yes.
Because I'm wondering if that may be a factor in that, and I've got some analysis I want to do on that as well. It's possible that folks are coming in and moving to Tucson, and maybe they're not buying, and they're moving into either a condo or something like that. Maybe they're leasing or renting, and that may be a possibility as well. We'll take a look at it and see what's cooking.
Yeah, we'll look into that for you.
And who is that? Who is that speaking that was going to take a look?
This is Tim. I'm on the call as well, Tim Yendel.
Okay, great. Thank you. I've got to jump off now. I've just arrived at an appointment. But
go get him, Sandy.
So
thank you. Okay. You're very welcome.
Guys.
We have 3 more people in the queue, so 3 quick questions. Phone number ending in 8901. You're up.
Hi, this is Terry Rasner in Reno, Nevada.
Hey,
and Emily Wyrick on our team. So we've gotten so far 2 lists, and we're not having an issue at all with the real estate being attached. 80% of the 57 leads that we've received so far, 80% of them do have real estate attached. Our issue is that they've already been listed and sold. So that's what we're running into. More than 50% of them have already closed Yeah, more than 50% of them already closed, listed and closed.
Well, you sound like you got people that plan ahead in your market, which isn't normal either. And Chad, you want to explain? You have a pretty good take on how that happens. It was probably somebody that planned ahead, right?
Yeah. So in my market, at least a quarter have already been sold, before probate is ever filed. And if you kind of go back and look at the history, and you're going to have that. I mean, there are families who, people get ill, people need long-term care, and those bills are not small. And usually, 80% of Americans' wealth is held in their primary residence. So a lot of families have to sell the assets in order to pay for long-term care or to be eligible for, the Medicaid to pick that up. So there's really no way to get in front of that other than, some of the things we teach in Probate Mastery and we've talked about on these calls. If you network with the right employees at nursing homes, with estate planning attorneys, and kind of build those relationships in the community organically, you can get in front of those. And the skill set's exactly the same. So you can help, people who are living. You can add a moving company in there to provide moving for elder, and there are companies that do that. So you can just kind of retool the same skill set and try to get in front of it that way.
Okay.
The way I'm interpreting this, though, is that it did go to probate. The close dates are either the date of the probate or a few days after. So I think they are going.
What that means, they've probably found their buyer, and then they were kind of held up in escrow until they could get the probate filed, and then they could legally close it to connect the chain of title. So to close the chain of title, you need to have a death certificate and the probate documents, and that kind of closes it. Usually the death certificate and a will, a list of heirs, will close that chain of title so you can get the binder. It sounds like what's happening, maybe people are watching the obituaries and then they're going and skip tracing and finding way to the heirs. Maybe they're driving by seeing vacant houses. There's different ways. Usually those are investor deals. Do they seem to be recording at retail prices or discounted prices?
We were just looking at if they've been listed and sold. They didn't appear to be like double-ended. A lot of them were separate listing agent and buyer's agent.
And it looks like it's retail, not investors.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead, Chad. We got 3 more people in the queue, and I don't want to rush it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Really quickly, I just wanted to do a shout out to. I called the Washoe County Administrator here in Reno, Nevada. And after I did all the research and found that there's no RFP system, request for proposal, or to get on a list or anything, I just had to contact him. And Chad had told me to do this, something similar like this. And so we got connected, and we're going to be getting directly those that do not have, that the county, the public administrator is representing. We're going to start getting some of those listings now. They've been feeding them to one agent directly, and Chad told us to do this, to find out about the other agents who are listing them, and that's exactly what we did. And we went back, and sure enough, one agent has gotten gets about 10 a year.
Awesome. That's
good for
great
you.
to hear. Yeah.
That makes me so happy. So guys, what we're talking about, in some states it's called a fiduciary. There's different terms for it, but when somebody dies intestate and the court is not able to appoint a next of kin, then an executor is typically somebody named in a will. A personal representative is somebody that's next of kin that, because there wasn't a will, they were appointed by the court. When you see the word administrator, that typically means it's somebody who's appointed by the court, who is sometimes a public official. Just depends, but there are groups of these people. So you might have in any market, there might be 5 fiduciaries in one market, and those people are acting as how the family member would normally act. So they have the authority to choose a listing agent. And the idea was to find out what other people are doing, work your way back to that, and create that relationship. So if you can find out if that exists in your market, it doesn't in my market, but it does in a lot of more metro areas.
thanks for the shout out. I don't mean to. I want to get to everybody. We have 3 more, but I think the theme of today's call is it's a numbers game, guys. You're always going to have, like any form of prospecting, you're not going to hit 100% of them, but there's a large percentage of these are highly motivated, and you just treat it like you do any other kind of prospecting. You'll get your share.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Next question ends in 1157. You're up.
Hey guys, this is Mark Littrell with Saddle Creek Title in Memphis.
Hey Mark.
I am good chatting with you guys again after disappearing for a few months. I'm following up. We had talked about doing this from a title perspective, creating alliances with realtors, et cetera. Have you gotten anybody in the country that's done that yet? Can you give me any advice on that model?
We've been waiting on you.
Yeah, you're our first.
Okay.
We've been waiting for you to get something going here.
Okay.
I don't think we do. I think 98% of our clients are realtors and maybe 2% are investors. I think you're the first, Mark.
Okay. Well, Tom, you called me back yesterday. I'll shout back at you, and we'll do it off the wire, and we'll get going. Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Thank you. All right, 2 more. Phone number ending in 6335. You're up.
Yeah, hey guys, this is Todd and Don in Stuart, Florida. I just wanted to tell you that we made 25 phone calls last night, and the first number worked very well in most cases, and everything went very smoothly. So I just am saying, you just said it a minute ago, but I spent 25 years as a financial advisor, and it's all a numbers game. You just have to call everybody and assume that they're going to have something. When they don't, you get a no, and you go on. You're looking for the yeses.
Awesome. Could not have said it better myself. Thank you very much. I almost want to close the call with that, but we have one more caller. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. Phone number ending in 2821. You're the last up today.
Okay, it's Bud Thompson up in Omaha. I'm going to put a cherry on top of what that last guy said. In defense of you guys, I tell people when I pay money to you, I have to get past the idea that I've got 100 leads, LEADS. What I did is I paid money to you guys for virtual assistance to send somebody to the courthouse and do in a few hours what it would take me 2 weeks to do half as well as they did. So as long as I look at it as, hey, I get 100 pieces of research data to work with, and from it will come 3 to 4 or 5 or 6 listings, I can live with that. But I had to get mentally past the concept of some of the lead providers that count leads. You really can't count them as leads. It's research data, a month's worth of research for the fee that we pay you. And I can live with that. That's my cherry for the top of it.
Thank you, sir. And you've had how long you been with us? How long you been getting the leads?
I think it's 8 months now. Yeah. And, that's another thing I tell a lot of your referrals is I had to get a big whiteboard and put it on my wall because so many of these are still in the funnel. Even after I talk to them on the phone or visit with them or get invited over, they still take months sometimes to emotionally get prepared to sell the property.
Right.
Yeah, that's a major piece of this is to make sure not to let them fall through a crack in the floor. So I've probably got about a dozen of them that I know will happen. It's just a matter emotionally when they're ready to do it.
Well, I can't think of a better way to close the call. Thank you. I appreciate it. Guys, we don't mind the people. We appreciate the first few that were a little frustrated, but we want to encourage you, and I think the last few people who came on the call did a great job of doing that, passing on some encouragement, which is much needed. So, as always, guys, if you need help with anything between now and next Thursday, support@alltheleads.com. And I always end these calls by challenging everybody. You took 30 minutes out of your day today to come and listen. Take one idea, one thought, one thing that inspired you today. Go out and put it into action and come back next Thursday and let us know the results, guys. Thank you so much. Make it a great week, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.